Peace, what's up everybody in the Varsity Club? Today I'm going to do a quick post, not too long, about the one of the great mindfucks of past couple of years, and this one is somebody that everybody knows. It's going to be on Ronda Rousey. And the reason why I wanted to bring this shit up is with these so-called movies that are coming out, you know, the Gabrielle Unions, the Taraji P. Henson, and the Atomic Blondes, and the next one that's coming is Captain Marvel. There's been this idea of making these women out who could beat up a man in a fight. Now, while I have seen women fight dudes before, just growing up and in life, there has to be some realism with it. The reason I wanted to bring up Ronda Rousey is this. Ronda Rousey is a world-class judo expert. I'm not going to take that away from her. You don't get to the Olympics and get a bronze medal and you're half-assed at judo. With that being said, let me point this out. When Ronda Rousey was beating all the women in her sport, they had just established a women's division in UFC. So for about 2, almost 3 years, Ronda Rousey was dominant because there was nobody in her weight division who could really stick with her. Or so was the narrative. So she was knocking women out. A lot of it was feared. A lot of it were women who were unprepared to face her in the ring. And so you've had, I got a list. Don't think I don't. You got a list of people who started saying that, she is the greatest female athlete of all time. There are a number of 135ers in UFC, like, she can beat the top 10 135ers in the sport. And let's just go for some of the quotes. Let's see, let me start with Edmond Tarverdyan, who I believe was her coach. Here's what he said, September 2012. If I could, I'd turn that girl into a boxing professional world champion. What she has is amazing, but people don't understand. Ronda's boxing is so good right now. This is what was said by Edmond Tarverdyan, her striking coach. He also said she was sparring with girls in our gym that are like 16-1 and world champions. Everybody knows she can strike. I don't care if people know or don't know, to be honest with you. I know she can strike. She's a great striker. She's not going to have a problem with any of these fights going on. Then he proceeded to say 2 years later, in 2014, we get boxing world champions in here, girls, and she drops all of them with body shots. Ronda Rousey in March 2015. Honestly, I think I could beat Layla Ali at boxing. Let's not forget Layla Ali, a world champion female boxer. I believe she's undefeated. Honestly, I think I could beat Layla Ali at boxing too. I'm an Olympic athlete and I want to focus on that entirely. But if I can go from judo to MMA, why couldn't I go from MMA to boxing? I think that having that kind of belief in yourself is really important to be the kind of level that I'm trying to be. And I think that a lot of people are really offended by the mindset that it takes to be the best in the world. Just because I wasn't the best in the world at anything, that's not offending anyone or insulting anyone. I wasn't offended by Layla Ali's thinking that she could beat me because she's a world champion boxer. That's the way she has to think. I'm not insulted by it at all. I'm like, good for you. You should think like that. Edmund Tarverdyan, her boxing coach, again. I think Ronda beats Holly Holm in a boxing match any given day. I know she can do it. I know she wins the boxing world title. Ronda has nothing to prove to me. I know what kind of fighter she is. Let's go to Oscar De La Hoya. Whenever she's ready to step into the ring as a fighter, as a boxer, then obviously Golden Boy Promotions will be right there with her. Oh, let's not forget Mr. MMA commentator, so-called, so knowledgeable about it, Joe Rogan. She might be able to beat 50% of the UFC's men's bantamweights. There's a lot of guys her size she can beat. I mean, a lot. If you took the roster of the UFC's bantamweights, 135 pounds, and you pair them up against Ronda Rousey, she might be able to beat 50% of them. That's not a joke. Okay, I'm not gonna keep going on with this shit because it gets to the point to where it just becomes an obscenity at this point. Number one, a world-class boxer is a world-class boxer. Striking and boxing is two different things. A striker is you're just throwing your hands. Boxing, you're throwing combinations. Boxing, you're trying to break down a fighter, then knock him out. In MMA, you're just trying to knock somebody out. In MMA, you don't really get a chance. You might get a chance to feel out a fighter, but MMA only lasts 5 rounds. Boxing, it might take you 3, 4, or 5 rounds before you figure out a boxer, his speed, a punch he can and he can't defend. It might just take you, it might take you a while to figure out a certain kind of boxer. That's the difference between world champion fighters and career journeymen. The best boxer in the world right now, the pound for pound boxer, Vasily Lomachenko, got dropped by a world champion fighter. Got dropped. Not only did he have to get up, he had to survive the round, and it took him to the 10th round to figure out this world champion before Vasily beat him. Before he broke him down, figured out a way to defeat this world-class boxer. And that was only his 12th fight. The reason I'm getting back to Ronda Rousey is there's this narrative that's being pushed out here by these blue pillars, and I hate to use the red pill and blue pill term to describe this shit, but there's no other way to describe it. That women can beat men in fights, and women are, just as athletic and physically gifted as men, and they're not. I'm not going to be stupid enough to sit up in here and talk about intelligence with men and women, because there's no way to quantify if a man is more intelligent than a woman, because you can't do that. While there may not be as many PhDs that are women as there are men, there's enough to know that there's no quantifiable evidence that men are smarter than women. I'm just talking about from a physical standpoint. Like, there are women who can play basketball with men, but there aren't women who could dominate in the NBA. Like, I'm pretty sure there are women boxers who may be able to stand for a while in a ring with a man, but at a certain point, with a world-class boxer, a woman is going to get knocked the fuck out. And see, this whole narrative with Ronda Rousey was, oh, she was the greatest of all time, she can't be beat. And it was funny because they always kept bringing up Floyd Mayweather for some reason. I never understood that. I never really got the point of why it was Floyd Mayweather. Ronda Rousey could beat Floyd Mayweather in an MMA fight. It was like they kept bringing this shit up. And what happened, which happens to a lot of people, she got her ass in the ring with somebody who, number one, had a game plan, number two, who broke her down. It was probably one of the best training preparations that I've seen in a combat sport, whether that's boxing or MMA or whatever the case may be. Holly Holm's corner knew, okay, if you lock up with her, she will probably arm bar you. What they told Holly Holm to do is stay outside and box her ass. She's so confident in her skills that she will try and box you. And they set her ass up. Because Holly Holm started tagging her like, yeah, I can throw these fucking hands too. And she dazed her. She caught her. You know, she was circling. Her footwork was great. And then she proceeded to kick her ass in the side of the head. And she dropped her. And it was a wrap for the legend of Ronda Rousey. So see, all of that shit that they had been talking about, oh, she can do this to MMA, she's the best ever athlete and all of that. And to be perfectly honest, because of how MMA is and what you can and can't get caught with, I thought, okay, she just got caught. She just, you know, sometimes you get dropped. As a fighter, I don't have an issue with nobody losing a fight. Sometimes you just get caught with a good shot. It happens to everybody. I don't think any less of De La Hoya when he got dropped by a body shot. But see, what happens next makes you see that all of that talk was what it was, just talk. Because see, did she get back up and get back into the ring? No. Regardless of what happened with Holly Holm in her next fight, which she lost, because she got submitted. What happened, Ronda Rousey never avenged that loss to Holly Holm. So it went like this. Holly Holm beat Ronda Rousey. Holly Holm lost to Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate lost to Amanda Nunes, and Amanda Nunes has been the champion ever since. See, let me explain the difference to you, though. Amanda Nunes has lost 4 fights. So Amanda Nunes has, yeah, she's the champion, but she ain't the champion without no L's. She's lost a number of fights. And that's the difference between the two. That's the difference between a champion and a paper champion. Then everybody who was talking about how great of a fighter she was and how she's the greatest athlete of all times and her winning awards and, hey, Floyd, how does it feel to be beaten by a woman? You see, all of that shit just evaporated. Not disappeared, evaporated overnight. And this is one of my biggest issues I've had with Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless ever since this issue came out. Because they were on that Ronda Rousey shit too. She lost that fight on a Saturday. That Monday of First Take, they didn't speak about it at all. It was one of the biggest upsets in sports, and Stephen A. and Skip Bayless didn't mention it on their show First Take. And I think their show was like a good fucking 2.5 hours, and they didn't mention it at all. It's your show. You have meetings about what you can and what you should talk about. There wasn't any controversy. There wasn't any scandal. She lost the fight. And I remember, because that episode of First Take, the whole Ronda Rousey issue was never ever spoke about. While it may not seem like a big deal to everybody else, let me explain to you why it was a big deal. To me, I have to wave off your journalistic credibility because you talk about everything else under the sun involving sports. The biggest loss of the year, the biggest upset of the year, and you don't mention it for your whole show. All of your shit is suspect after that. Whether or not you have an opinion about something, I can agree or disagree with it. Like Skip Bayless and this whole LeBron mindfuck that he's been pulling for the last 15 years, or however long LeBron has been in the league. I get it. I understand that. That's your mindfuck. That's your hustle. That's how you get by and get paid and get views and all of that shit. I understand that. But that Ronda Rousey shit, it's offensive as someone who used to watch that show, who used to, I used to look forward to their debates. But when that show came on that Monday and you didn't have shit to say about it, I was like, yo, fuck the both of you dudes. How the biggest upset of the year, you don't mention it on your whole show at all. And don't tell me it was a fucking oversight. So getting back to this whole narrative, this shit about, this woman being this and this woman being this. When I think about the greatest female athlete, two names come up. Serena and Florence Griffith Joyner. And let's not get it twisted. I hear all of these people talk about the greatest female athlete, but they act like Florence Griffith Joyner didn't break like 2 or 3 world records in the Olympics. In one Olympics, and I think in 2 different disciplines. And if I'm not mistaken, I think a couple of those records are still standing. Then not only did they shit on her accomplishments after she did them, but after she died, they shit on her reputation, and she was never found guilty of any type of doping or enhancement or anything. And I'm definitely going to do a post on that too, about the character assassination of Florence Griffith Joyner. But like I said, the whole point of this post was just really to talk about the mindfuck that was Ronda Rousey, and how, you know, they keep pushing this narrative and it's just bullshit. So that's it, Varsity Club. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also leave your comments in the bottom. And I'm gone.